Shabbat Shalom, everybody. This Shabbat is Parsha Emor. So, Shabbat Shalom, Parsha Emor. Happens to be my son's bar mitzvah portion. If anybody, any person at all, disrespects the name of God and is a blasphemer, the person shall be taken outside the camp, and the whole community shall stone that blasphemer. This is the parsha where we get some very serious accountability. If a man murders any human being, that man, he shall be put to death. One who strikes the life of an animal is to pay for it. Life in place of life. A life for a life. Who's heard that? If anyone does harm to a fellow as he has done, so shall it be done to him. Fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Who's heard an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth? Okay, so that's what this sermon is about, that's what this parsha is about, and that is the part of the Torah that I will be chanting for you today. The injury he inflicted shall be inflicted on him. You shall have one standard for stranger and citizen alike, for I, the Lord, am your God. There's a lot of talk in the Torah. The entire 5 books were spoken to Moses after all. And this Shabbat is Emor, and Emor means to speak, to say. However, when we hear the famous line, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, juxtaposed alongside the command to stone the blasphemer, one has to realize that God means business. We are not to take lightly the code of conduct by which we are meant to live up to. Not only that, there is karma, or in Judaic circles we say tikkun. The injury he inflicted shall be inflicted upon him. Many question God's plan when they see injustice, or the appearance of one who actually seems to get away with anything and prevail, and not only prevail, sometimes come on top. The judgment is not to be made by us, but by God. Eternity is a much longer time to have to pay for one's indiscretion. Best to keep our slate clean, mind our own business, tend to our own garden, and not look at what's happening on the other side, because that grass is not always greener. When we look at the world and collectively feel the pain that is inflicted by those who abuse power, we must think of this parsha's command, you shall have one standard for stranger and citizen alike, for I, the Lord, am your God. A code of righteous, ethical behavior is the same for everybody. None shall be treated differently or as less, stranger or citizen alike. We are all holy. We are meant to be holy before God and with each other, or the retribution will be severe, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, because we are created B'Tselem Elohim in the image of God. God is holy, therefore so too are we, and we are meant to act that way and behave that way. Biblical times can be seen as quite severe, but a lot that went on thousands of years ago still goes on today. The question is how we behave and whether or not we actually evolve. It's interesting that all of this comes alongside the command to observe all the holy days. They're all in this parsha. The holy days, the festivals, and the counting of the Omer between Passover and Shavuot, which we are within right now. Infrastructure was given to direct our attention and ritual throughout the year. We have a formula and a framework that helps us be holy and perfect ourselves. Passover, Shavuot, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, and not to mention Shabbat, all commanded within this parsha. So many opportunities to grow, to expand our consciousness, and to practice evolving, doing the work on our character to perfect our behavior. The blasphemer is taken outside the camp and stoned for defaming God. And yet we are created in God's image, so if God is holy, then what did we say? We too are holy. And Emor, our Parsha, carries with it the necessity to not only speak in ways that are holy, but to act in ways that are holy. For there shall be only one standard for stranger and citizen alike. There have been times throughout history, even recently, when world leaders have moved forward to take the life of another who abuses their power, threatens humanity. For as our Parsha states, the injury he inflicted shall be inflicted on him. One can look upon these acts and think of them as barbaric, and yet it's all there, spoken and written to protect and defend the rights of all. The command to act in ways that are holy and to be holy sounds like it would be so simple, and yet centuries have shown that it's not. The festivals and the holy days point us in the right direction, along with Shabbat. Let it be our prayer that one day the need for retribution, karmic punishment, and tikkun, or correction, will disappear and be replaced by the promise inherent in Shabbat: peace, perfection, and the taste of the perfect world to come. May it be God's will. Shabbat Shalom.